Hello class, my name is Sam Patel and for my this week's current event presentation I'll be talking about an article from CNBC uh, which is nearly half of the US population is still out of a job, showing just how far the US labor market has to deal in the wake of the coronavirus. As we all know, the coronavirus has majorly affected US economy by increasing the unemployment rate very drastically, even worse than the 2009 recession. The employment population ratio, the number of employed people as a percentage of the US adult population, fell to 52.8% in May, meaning that almost half of the US populations are jobless. This data is gathered from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. As the coronavirus-induced shutdowns, it tore through the labor market. The share of population employed dropped sharply from a recent high of 61.2% in January of 2020 to almost 52.8%. This ratio is a wider look of the employment picture. Uh, it takes in accounting adults not in the labor force and capture those who were discouraged about the prospect of finding a new job, whereas the employment rate looks at people actively looking for a job. To get the employment to population ratio back to where it was at its peak in January 2020, US government and big corporation needs to create new jobs for all the unemployment Americans to go back to lower the unemployment rate and help the labor market and economy to get better quickly. Currently, the investors are expecting the job market to increase by adding almost 3 million new jobs in June. They predicted this data based on the last month's new jobs of 2.5 million that people went back to. Meanwhile, along with that, the unemployment rate is expected to decline to almost 12.4% in June from 13.3% in May and almost 14% in April. According to few analysis report, the unemployment rate doesn't capture who stopped looking for the job. It only captures the current labor force is about 60% of the U.S. adult population. Um, Along with that, after the unexpected snapback in May, there have been signs of a slowdown in labor market improvements as fears of corona recovery increased in recent weeks. The number of Americans are still filing for unemployment claims came in higher than expected for the past 2 weeks straight, where people are filing more and more unemployment claims due to recent layoffs from their jobs. Uh, Due to that, the jobless claims totaled to almost 1.5 million last week as unemployment related to the coronavirus pandemic remained stubbornly high. Though those receiving benefits fell below 20 million, which was originally about 33.8 million for the first time in 2 months. So the unemployment, people who are claiming unemployment are going lower and lower day by day, but they are but the government is still expecting new claims coming every week. The danger is now that the claims rebound in other states where infections are rising rapidly and the people are started again to stay home and staying away from restaurants and malls and also staying away from going back to work. As I read in one of the articles where Tesla employees are does not want to go back to work voluntarily because of the rising of cases in California, where some of the employers are allowing employees to stay home and uh, take care of themselves and try to reduce the rise of coronavirus cases. The most recent number marked the 14th straight week with that filing remained above 1 million. Even though we saw U.S. market opening back up, the unemployment claims are still are higher in 1 millions. Um, that was shortly after World Organization declared the pandemic, and much the U.S. economy went into lockdown. Uh, right now, I think the economy recovery is being dragged down by millions and millions of Americans without jobs and simply haven't got any jobs to go back to. The massive job loss means the economy isn't out of the woods yet. I think even though the unemployment claims are going lower, I think the job market is still bad. People are struggling to go get back to new jobs. The the people who are furloughed or laid off are having a hard time getting a new job because of the competition is constantly. There's so much competition between the fresh off college student coming into a job market. Right now, the economic recovery is somewhat starting to pick up, but it all depends on um, the next wave of coronavirus, which is started to acted by rising number of cases in Texas, Florida, and California by almost 40 to 50,000 new recorded cases every day in U.S. That jump was almost 42% since previous weeks, where we saw a decline in when the government declared the lockdown to be open. So that was a quick analysis of my how I think the recovery is going to be. I got a couple of questions for everyone. Is like, can the U.S. labor market bounce back from Corona virus 19, and how long will it take to fully recover to that 62.9% employment rate, which was in January of 2020? How can the federal government can help the U.S. labor market to bounce back in this type of economy? What can government can offer for employees to get the new jobs in return to get new jobs? Another question is: will the unemployment rate is going to get even worse in coming months due to the recent spike in coronavirus cases in U.S. After coming from the lockdown? I hope I can get covered everything, and I'll be happy to hear your feedbacks. Thank you so much, and have a great day.